Hey guys. So for today's lesson, we're going to still talk about measuring length, but we're going to switch gears. We're not going to use the customary units. We're going to switch to metric units. On Monday and Tuesday, we used customary units, which is inches, feet, and yards. And you used a tool down here, is the inch ruler. These whole numbers represented inches, and we talked about all the tick marks in between represent amounts smaller than a whole, which represent fractions. You learned how to break up each whole inch into eighths and quarters. Well, today we're going to talk about the metric system, which are millimeters, centimeters, and meters. You're going to use a different ruler. It's called the metric ruler. If you notice, there's also whole numbers going across the top, but these are not inches. In the metric system, we call these centimeters. So I'm going to write that down for you. In between each centimeter, we also have little tick marks. And if you count those equal spaces, you would know there is 10. So each whole centimeter is broken up into tenths. But we call these tick marks millimeters. So we're going to practice measuring objects using centimeters and millimeters. So I'm going to show you another page, switch gears, and you're going to see a worksheet kind of like this, but slightly different that you're going to have to do. I'll show you now how to measure both in centimeters and millimeters. So when you read the directions, it might say measure millimeters, but I'm going to have you measure in both centimeters and millimeters for today's lesson. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure the length of this snail. I'm going to get out my box highlighter, and we're going to see where the edge of this nail ends. I can even increase the size so we can get a nice close-up view. Okay, so I'm going to measure in centimeters first. Well, we know the whole numbers represent our centimeters. Well, it went past 10, but it's not quite to 11. So we know it's going to be 10 and something. 10 point something. Well, how many tick marks or millimeters did it go past the 10? Well, it went past 1, 2, 3. So we can say that is 10.3 or 10 and 3/10 centimeters. Now, to show this in millimeters, all we would have to do is count all the tiny little tick marks. Well, if we know that there's 10 of these millimeters in 1 centimeter, so how many millimeters would be in the entire length of this pink shaded area? Well, we can count by tens. We go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then 101, 102, 103. So there's 103 millimeters. That's how long this nail is. If you look at our answers, you notice that they're pretty much the same number, except for centimeters. All we did for go from centimeters to millimeters is we took the decimal and moved it one place to the right because millimeters is smaller. So let's go ahead and measure another object. We're going to measure this paper clip. Again, I'll get my highlighting box. Okay, and I can even increase it so we can get a nice close-up. Okay, so we're going to measure in centimeters first. It's very important that when you go ahead, when you write your measurements, that you use the correct units, centimeters versus millimeters. Make sure you don't confuse the two. So we know it's past 2, but not quite to 3, so it's going to be 2 point something. Well, how many tick marks past the 2 did it land on? 1, 2. So it's 2.2 centimeters, or 2 and 2/10. Now, how many millimeters do you think's here? Remember, millimeters are the tick marks, right? And there are 10 in 1 centimeter. So 10, 20, 21, 22. 22 millimeters. Again, we just took the decimal and moved it one place to the right to convert it to millimeters. Let's do one more. We're going to measure the length of this key. Highlight this section, it ends right here. Okay, let's measure in centimeters. Centimeters are the whole numbers. So I know it's past 3, but not quite to 4, so it's going to be 3 point what? Well, 1, 2, 3. So 3.3 centimeters, or 3 3/10. Let's convert that to millimeters. So instead of counting by tens, I'm just going to take my decimal right here and I'm going to move it one place to the right. So 3.3 becomes 33 millimeters. And now you guys can try. If you have any questions, please make sure that you email me or message me on Remind. And remember, come up to the top and click Save before you hit Turn In. Good luck!